Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 479, jumping in here with what is going to be some Udyr draft. And so we covered off a little bit on Yumi in the previous video. That was a lot of more of like the Fae type archetypes. And I know this big Mad here pairs off with Nar. And you're supposed to, I don't know, outwardly cool, these fierce warriors wield a fiery rage. There you have it, raging with all the fires of Udyr and Nar. And so, nonetheless, there's a couple of things that are potentially going on with this and things you can look to build around. I don't think that like Udyr is that great of a champion. I don't think he's like horrifically bad. He would, find himself in terms of being like a supporting champion closer to the top, in terms of a build-around champion closer to the bottom. He's just like a little bit too slow to flip. The stance swaps are good utility, but they're fairly expensive. And then if you have put in all the work, you've played your Ember Maidens, you've played like the 0-5 that hits your opponent once it gets hit, and leveled up your Udyr, it's just the flip isn't that appealing. You've done a ton of work to just get these +1/+1s put on him for the stances. And so it really feels like, if you've put in the work to like flip him, he should be getting like +3/+3 or something for each of these swaps. Like you're not playing more than like 2 or 3 swaps in a game. Just due to how expensive they are. But at least in terms of some of the successes I've had with Udyr, you can maybe find something to do with AoEs. You can maybe find something to do with the stance swaps. At the end of the day, you're just going to be playing overwhelms if you're going to try and have success with this. We'll see if this is how it ultimately breaks down. But in terms of finding something to build around with Udyr, it can be pretty challenging to do. But he's our bro today. Let's see what we can do with these here. Okay, and so a couple of interesting options. There is the Pantheon, which is what looks like the best target at first. You can imagine these kind of things as to where you're boosting up your Saga Seekers and your Pantheon's Fadeds with the likes of stance swaps. You can try it. It's just too slow. Right? If you're looking to level up your Pantheon, you have to be hitting those early gift givers and hitting those early mountain goats and then spewing off the gems, right? You can kind of get away with just spending 1 mana a turn on gems to get your Pantheon leveled up. You can't be spending 3 mana a turn on stance swaps. And so there is certainly like a place where the swaps can be good, right? If we're trying to say, put like the Zenith Blade style thing on the Saga Seeker. You can kind of get away with that with the stance swap. You're down 1 mana, but maybe you just got your stance swap off of like the 2/2 for 2 mana, then that doesn't feel as bad. And so if you have a curve of like Saga Seeker on 1, the 2/2 that generates a stance swap on 2, and then you put like a +2/+2 or whatever onto your Saga Seeker on 3, that's not like the worst thing you could be doing, but you're behind on leveling your Pantheon, you're a little bit behind on hitting multiple Fadeds, and then you're still going to have to find like more Fadeds for the future turns. And so you can do it. It's just like ultimately not super strong. So thing number 2 that we're seeing here, we have Lulu. I could see this being somewhat useful. We do actually have a Faded unit here in the Assistant Librarian, along with the Babbling Balladeers is just a good early game play. The problem with Lulu is she's really looking for challengers, and we're just not going to find that out of Freylord. There's the 2 various wolves, but this isn't like one of these things to where we're discarding flame chompers, or we aren't playing Demacia and just having a ton of them. It's going to be challenging to find a place where this works. And so that does bring me back here to this Enlightenment Anivia, and then we can just chase after the generic overwhelm strategy. And so it's not as exciting, but these other champions and ideas just are too expensive. And so some of these combos do at least work nicely, right? If we can get the AoE off on the Ember Maiden, and then our opponent's units are all smaller, then the smaller units get hit with an overwhelm from like an Ancient Yeti, that's not bad. We can AoE with Ember Maiden into Anivia. Anivia can help level up Udyr. Like there's some like minor combos in here, but it's not just like a good full big like build around strategy. Okay, so continuing on with this, Tough Speaker Spirits Unleashed, exactly what we're looking for in these terms. I'm kind of interested in Spirits Unleashed as I don't know if we could call it a better pack mentality, since it doesn't give out Overwhelm. But if we have a board full of Overwhelmed, kind of the same deal with the Ember Maiden plan, right? We give all of our opponent's units -1, all of our units get +1, and then we should be able to crash in for an Overwhelm a little bit better. Then the Tusk Speaker, just a fantastic build around bro. All right, tough one here. Man, I would love to pick up this Pokestick Yordle, but we have the Howling Abyss, just the premier top end in the game coming from Freylord. Not going to give that, not going to pass that up when we're also getting it with an Avrosian Trapper. Looks quite good there. Coming into expensive land here, Wrath of the Freylord is nice. This should end just about any game to where it comes down. Just almost impossible to block all of your units, but I'm looking to just go with the more realistic package of Ancient Yeti, Stalking Wolf. Don't want the stance swap either. Okay, and then our last chance to delve away from Freylord, not taking it here today. I'm going to go with the Avrosian Hearthguard here. I'm not sure if we can find any combos with the Iceborne Legacy. Maybe we can. Probably not going to happen. It should let us trade that away fairly quickly, though. Okay, so how deep do we want to go on going after the Yetis? I don't think we should be. Like, if we land on a Yeti Yearling, kind of whatever, this ultimately comes down to, like, do we want Tall Tales? I don't think we do, with just our one Trapper and then the 2 Ancients. I think we'll skip over that. I'm going to go with the Shared Spoils. Oh, do we want the Shared Spoils Marksman? Like, what worries me is, like, we're not going to have enough interactivity, but then also playing, like, a 1 health unit feels kind of dangerous. So I do like the idea of Shared Spoils. It's pretty easy for us to hit Plunders, but I'm going to go with the 2 sort of Overwhelm units, right? Ruthless Raider definitely has it. If you want, you can make this High Aura All-Seer sort of like a... what do you call it? The standard, the 6 mana Overwhelm from Ancient Wolf. I can't remember his name. It slipped me, and if I think on it, it's never going to come to me. But the 7/6 Overwhelm for 6, you can kind of get there with the stance, but you have a little bit more versatility. So I think this will be okay. Here's the Tall Tales. Don't want it. I'm going to take the interactive package down here with the Harsh Winds. Strong stuff for us. Still need to pick up like a little bit more early game, but I like the direction that this is going in. Protoporo can be interesting. This is good in terms of Udyr, right? If you're on the odd attacks and you have the Protoporo on 1, that'll get you 2 ticks to Udyr, and then you should probably get at least 1 more tick on turn 3. But the other option here being 3 Sisters, I think this is okay. I like stacking these Ruthless Raiders. It makes the 1 damage AoEs pretty palatable. All right, Howling Abyss number 2. Sure. It is a little expensive and tough to draw in multiples, but the power is certainly there. And here we got the Buried in the Ice with the Ruthless Raider. This is just another ultra super powerful spell. Wins just about every game that you cast it. All right, we got to slow our roll at some point, though. We can't add War Mother's Call in here as well. I think our top end is pretty good at this point. I am going to take the Alpha Wildclaw out of this one just because maybe we don't. Wow. Alpha Wildclaw is the card I was trying to piece together earlier but couldn't remember. I mean, between having the 2 Howling Abysses and the Buried in the Ice, I think we can just like let these go. I really don't like Unscarred Reaver, but we have some minor combos with it, right? We have some AoEs to hit it with. Maybe it's not going to be as terrible as I envision. Okay, I do like more Ancient Yetis though. It's so nice to be able to play these on turn 5 for 2 mana or turn 4 for 4 mana. Like just a all-around super unit. Glad to add that one in. Got another Troll Chant I'm pretty happy to do. The Earthsign Spirit Walker, again, it's like some of the more premier top end. I just don't think we need top end at this point. Like, we're going to be drafting 3 Udyrs. That's a bunch of 5s, and then we just have the Howling Abysses and all these Ancient Yetis. Let's stay away from that expensive stuff. And our last one. It is expensive stuff, but the Hearthguard's so powerful. Okay. I'm good. We got so many epics in here today. I know what I'm going to do with this one. We do have to go pay the pay-to-win price, but let's at least do it in a big-time fashion here. Let's go premium up this Howling Abyss. Where you at? Where you at? And then the pay-to-win gods are just going to be like, oh, bust. Oh, bust. Nothing can go wrong with your Udyr today if you're making premium Howling Abysses. And so, yeah, that definitely feels good. Let's get us some W's. Man. The premium Howling Abyss comes down, gives you some premium level 2 champions. God, I don't know how we aren't rank 1 masters yet. Somebody should have put this deck together and constructed and just like immediately hit rank 1 masters. I don't know what they're doing out there. We're leveling up quickly in Constructed, but people have been playing this game wrong for the past 18 months. I don't know how nobody's figured it out yet and learned to get into Masters paying the pay-to-win price. Well, maybe somebody will watch my video, unlock the secrets. But yeah, Udyr. He was a champion that I initially thought was going to be pretty powerful. It's just the stance swaps are so slow. I'm curious if like what happened with Udyr was they were just like, well, Aphelios was a bit of a monster with the 3 damage or the with the 2 mana weapons. I wonder if that was just like a little too much, and they decided to go for the conservative route with 3 mana weapons. But reasonable start against Ari Kennen. The Ember Maiden should shine here. They have so many 1 health units. This should be able to come down and clear pretty quickly. He's going to get to boom us for a few rounds, but lots of potential to kill all of his stuff. There's the Howling Abyss. Aight. He replays the Morn, sure. So we probably won't want to play the Ember Maiden this turn. We'll probably want to wait until next turn so we can maybe get him to play the Morn when he doesn't need to. Right, if he like replays the Morn here, that gives us the opportunity to actually hit it with the AoE. Another AoE for when the shenanigans go wrong. I wanted to play the shared spoils, but we probably need to keep the Succumb to the Cold for the Ember Monk. Sure. Look at that, we're already getting cards out of the Ember Maiden. That feels pretty good. It feels good. Do we want to actually hit the Plunder? Probably not. So this is good. Like, we're not going to win this combat all of the time, but I was hoping for a bit more expensive of a card, but Rush isn't something that I typically play around. I was hoping to have to get like a Twin Disciplines or something out of that. But looking strong enough here. We have this Anivia to drop an AoE, and then we could follow up with an additional AoE with the Spirits Unleashed. Looks pretty strong to me. And we'll eventually find the time to get our premium Howling Abyss on board. This is pretty tempting just to no attack. Yeah, let's just get some time. If we can get the Abyss down, we're probably not doing too much losing. Ember Monk is like little scary, but we can always do another AoE with the Ram stance. Just takes a fucking million turns to do. Let's do this. Let's start with the Enraged. See how much mana he's going to invest in this board. I'm okay with just like throwing the 3/2 in front of the Ember Monk for the time being, and seeing where that gets us. Maybe should have just played Buried in Ice. Okay. Manageable. Let's see if he replays the Mourned, and then we just well, we can't smash because this card's fucking slow. But, oh no, we can. Okay. Deal 1 to everything else. Okay. RIP. This right? Oh man, you got to play another unit? Oh my god. Alright, let's see how much trouble we can get him into here. Might as well go ahead and add the Ruthless Raider, I think. We can, like, naturally Buried in the Ice next turn if we want. So if, like, things, like, really go wrong, like, I don't know what the sequencing would look like, but if he plays, like, a, if he plays, like, a Greenglade Duo, and then next turn plays, like, a Windfarer Hatchling, you know, we could certainly lose the game like that. It's one of those 1% scenarios, but Buried in the Ice can get us out of it. Okay. That's enough. No, thank you. He's probably not going to lethal us anyways, but we're just not going to let that shit happen. All right, and then we'll continue to stack up these Udyrs. I'm glad I haven't got to play some of these cards yet, and so I didn't think that stance was going to work exactly how it worked out. So that was good to at least know that the AOE happened without having to cast 2 spells. But cool. So yeah, I had a pretty terrible day today. I hope I hope you all listen to my sorrows. It's you might notice like the difference of the beard. It was getting to be like kind of puby, and like I don't really know how to maintain a beard, and so the way I typically do it is I do like a non on the mustache, so that it you know, like you're eating a hamburger and you don't just get like a bunch of ketchup in your face, not just like a bunch of food all in your shit all the time. That's disgusting. And so like I keep that at a non, and then I was just kind of letting the rest go. And once it got to the point to where the largest guard on the trimmer I have doesn't like go anymore, then I just kind of let it do its thing, and that's ultimately why it starts to get kind of puby, I do believe. So I was like, well, let's like just trim it up again and see if that fixes some of like the pube issue. But like I went and swiped it, and I was like, oh fuck, I didn't take the non off. I didn't put the bigger guard on, and so I kind of just like went non all the way across my face and just got stuck there. It's had to kind of go over everything. Now I've got this patchy ass beard. I used to just go, I called it the dirty look, as to where it was just kind of like permanent stubble, because I got these patchy spots on here. It doesn't look very good, but that was kind of my answer to not wanting to shave all the time. And give you O2, give you neg2. Just got the big troll chant line here. And that was it. You know, I have like sensitive skin, so shaving kind of sucks, and I don't want to shave. And so I just kind of let it grow out for a bit, and then it got to the point to where I would just like beard trim the stubble every day, so you're just going for that kind of dirty look all the time. It's fine. But then the wife was like, I like beards, why don't you grow a beard? And I was like, well, okay, I guess I can do that. I got this patchy mess out here, hopefully. Hopefully it just doesn't look terrible. And it turned out reasonable, I guess. She doesn't hate it, or at least she doesn't admit that she hates it. And that's the way a lot of life goes, you know. It's like, well, she at least doesn't admit that she hates it. But now we're back at square one. I shaved off too much beard. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, it doesn't look too puby. All right, back to the action here. I wanted to throw down the Ember Maiden just to stem the bleeding a little bit. If we just have time for cards like the Hearthguard to come down, then we're going to be completely okay here. Sure. Pretty good looking board to drop AoEs on. This is a little scary though. He didn't have any tricks. We can do like the double AoE again. Just gonna take some mana. Not excited about it. What if we stance swap the Stalking Wolf? Maybe. Let's start with the wolf and see what happens. I could also see us wanting to like play the wolf, you know, kind of see how he reacts, and then just play more AoEs. I think that's where we're going to be here. And then we can still like attack with the house spider. Let's see. He's probably not going to add anything more here, but I'm not planning on attacking this turn. If we AoE, he's still just going to have like the 2 units. And I think we just want to like give it a turn so we can do harsh winds kind of plays. Or do we just let that happen, right? Like let him put the block onto our Hearthguard, because we're just going to AoE it away anyways next turn.
No place for the kind.
Let's get some value out of this harsh winds. Open.
I'll do better this time. Okay, ready. Stand and defend.
So we can technically be like 1 less in the world of damage with the if we take down this house spider. Or what if we do this? And then harsh winds, the rear guard, and the Chronicler of Ruin give up on the Hearthguard. He has an empty board, and we have 2 good units that can all survive AoEs. I think I dig this. And we don't take any damage this way. Okay. I think things are turning around.
I fight for the fallen.
Okay. You close to enlightened, my friend. So we got a stance. Like, how do we intend to go about this? I want to keep adding units to the board. We'll add the Mystic in as a crumble onto our big boy. That's fine. It's just like, ultimately, do we want to bear stance down the Radiant, right? We can give +2/+2 to the Stalking Wolf and use it to try and take the Radiant down. That seems okay. LeBlanc isn't really scary here. Our other option would be, this has what, 1 point of health on it? We could make it a 4/5 and then give it the regenerate stance. Can't block LeBlanc that way. I wonder what his other card is, where he just like openly plays LeBlanc like this. Our other option is we could give our Stalking Wolf +2/+2 and then just try and hook LeBlanc down now. I think that's where I want to go with this. You give 2/2. The scary thing with this is like we get reamed by Whirling Death, but he didn't use Whirling Death last turn where it would have made a lot of sense. Okay, so we got the big chunks on this thing now. I thought we were going to get a kill, not going to lie, but mathematics aren't my strong suit. Anivia is a good draw here, though. Gotta be kidding me. So, I mean, this is okay. Anivia is going to be a real pain in the dick for him. Don't really want to lose our Feral Mystic here. Getting the +4/+4 next turn would be pretty nice. I think there's definitely a world where he just doesn't attack this turn, though. Like, is it really that good for him if we just trade across the board? Not really, but he's just going to get so blown up this turn. Is this what, 9, 12, 17, 1 short of lethal? We could technically play Spirit Unleashed, but then we don't have the mana for Buried in the Ice. Okay. Squad. So he'll probably at least put like LeBlanc in front of our Anivia. None of these other blocks are particularly compelling. Weird. Okay. Right, LeBlanc's gonna die anyways, you just put her in front of Anivia. 'Cause, 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 Not the Legion rearguard. Oh shit. Kindred. Okay. I don't think things can go like wrong enough just yet, and I think if he draws a unit, he plays it 100% of the time. So let's wait on this Buried in the Ice, and this is just going to ace the game. Cupcake for Garen. Get them cupcakes for Garen. Nice. Okay, so get this quick trade pick in, and I'll tell you about everything else wrong with my day. So let's see. What do we got here? Udyr, he's bugged as far as I can tell. He has the same problem that we see with Scion. Here, I would not be opposed to trading out a stance swap for a third Howling Abyss, but Iceborne Legacy just doesn't do anything in this deck. So let's pick up the Sentry and get rid of the Legacy while we can. So yeah, I also use Plex. I have a Plex server. It's dumb to have like a collection of DVDs and Blu-rays and then not be able to watch them on your devices. It's so stupid if like I'm not gonna have like 8 Blu-ray players in my house. It just you take the time and the effort to like repurpose some old computers into a Plex machine. You put a big hard drive in it, and then you can rip all of your DVDs and stuff to that. Now, granted, it does border technically the land of legality, at least here in the United States. If you're not in the United States, just go wild and steal everything off of the Pirate Bay. But I kind of like to keep it legit. I'm pretty close to just not doing that anymore. I think that they've gone through like way so much shit to just make it not worthwhile in terms of like when there were just a handful of streaming services. It wouldn't have everything, but there was just like a reasonable enough amount of stuff that I didn't feel like I was missing out on too much. But now that there's like the Netflix and the HBO and the Peacock and the Paramount and the Disney Plus and the Amazon, and like if you like sports, all the sports things and all the shit you have to go through to watch sports on the streaming stuff, if you don't if you don't want to use NFLBite.com, it's pretty dumb and brutal. And at any rate, where this was going was I was working on a season of DVDs, and I get adding the anti-piracy measures. I think at least me personally, the level of work that they should probably do in terms of anti-piracy measures is doing something to prevent you from putting a Blu-ray into your computer and then dragging the disc to your hard drive. That is going to be enough to cover like 99% of the cases. I get that, they probably have like contracts with the movie industry and they have to put in all this effort, whatever. But in terms of me, that feels like they've done enough work to call it a day, but that's not the way it is, not how it is. And so I've got the thing to move the Blu-rays over. I've got the stuff to, manage all of that. But they also have like this protection on there now. Part of their shtick is that they just put everything in there in the wrong fucking order. Like, it is like so mind-blowing to me that was like someone's decision that this was going to be like nice and cool, and we're really going to stick it to them by putting everything in the wrong fucking order. Like, and so it's like I've ripped the season of the show I'm working with. It's like I load it all up into Plex. I see it's in the wrong order. Fuck, that's annoying. So I go. It's like I've seen Parks and Rec like 100 times. I can manage it all pretty easily and figure it out. So it's like I could quickly like watch the first few minutes of the episodes, figure out which one it is, link it up to Wikipedia, go rename everything, and get everything in order. And so at the end of all that, I accidentally deleted all of my I accidentally deleted that season, and so now I have to like go and re-rip it. I have to go and rewatch everything. I have to go and just redo it all. So fucking dumb. And so that is why I've had essentially the worst day of my life between my beard and dealing with all of the movie stuff. It's just been a real pain in the butt. But back to the action here. The longer this game drags on, the better shape we should be in. I'm going to, kind of mirror our opponent here and just go big on our Ruthless Raider. I think we're in a good space having this Hearthguard as like a big shutdown on these other things. Let's start making the Ruthless Raider a real unit here. Potentially take some of his stuff down. This is just going to be the battle of Ruthless Raider versus Udyr, isn't it? See who can get the biggest, fastest. All right. Well, we're up to 7-7. That's where we're going to have to stop. I mean, if we wanted to play these bear stances, maybe we should have put a bonus onto the Hearthguard, but we didn't. We didn't do that. So how are we actually going to win this game, right? I think we're never going to get through with our big unit. He's never going to get through with his big unit. I'm a little worried in terms of opponent maybe having something like a mini-morph. And if he has a mini-morph, there's just like not a lot we can do. But if we're able to draw the landmark, right? If we draw, where is it even at? The Howling Abyss, or if we draw Caught in the Cold, then we can win this quickly. We can take this one big hit. We got to find some of our stuff. I think this is okay to just bite the bullet for a turn. Is next turn where we go? Do we start doing it? We can say like Troll Chant our Hearthguard. We can let's I mean, we have these two Spirit Unleashed, so just don't really want to play them. Where are we at? Feral Mystic, you're relevant in 2 turns. We've played a Hearthguard. As long as we aren't dying to Udyr, it seems okay, but we gotta wait a bit. He's got all the abilities. Pantheon go home. Udyr's here to stay. Okay. So the downside with this now is like next turn looks like it should be a pretty decent attack, but if we want to play the 2 AoEs and play a Troll Chant, then sure. We can't bank up enough mana to do it. We're going to have to look at just like playing 1, I think. But our Feral Mystic will grow. This is going to be one of these turns where he's going to be able to like block our Ruthless Raider with Udyr, but we might be able to weaken the rest of his team enough to punch through for the real damage. Our Hearthguard doesn't have Overwhelm anyways. He's not the most relevant thing here. He is gonna this is dumb gonna AoE him anyways. When I transform, deal 1 to all enemies. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Alright, so can we win the game this turn? What happens, right? If all of his units get -2 health, he blocks our Udyr with our thing with his Udyr, sure. He gets to block the Feral Mystic with his big thing, sure. So we only have the 2 overwhelms, and then we're still a little bit short on damage. Okay. Alright. I think I want to go ahead and just play this. This is the thing, it's like we're just hurting for mana at this point. Maybe this will work. Maybe we should have waited for another overwhelm. I don't know. I'm ultimately just worried that we're not going to be able to block this Udyr for long enough. We need to like build up enough to try and punch through. But he's definitely ahead of us in stance swaps. His Udyr has been able to punch in quite a bit. A little unfortunate. And Gnar? Well, Gnar's manageable here.
You are no longer a cobbled friend.
And then we got another Overwhelm in the All-Seer.
Their fear is wise. Stand and defend.
Not lethal yet. We should probably play one Troll Chant. I don't want to die to a Ember Maiden. But yeah, I feel like the Howling Abyss, it could maybe do something. It feels like it's probably a little bit far away at this point. But Caught in the Cold most certainly ends this game. But I think our game plan here might... I mean, this is like the turn where we can punch it to fruition. This has to work this upcoming attack. To where we just AoE everything and then punch in with our Overwhelms. Sure.
Hear me.
What do we even got in here? Do we have any more relevant units? Not really. Our our Ruthless Raiders do have +2/+2, but it's not ultimately completely relevant. And Caught in the Ice. Nope. Tried. I tried for it. It didn't work. And let's see where this gets us. Did she just say shoe polish? But let's see. Like he gets to put Udyr in front of our 10. And then after Udyr, he has 4, 5, 8, 15 health. We'll get to play a unit here. And we have 15 plus 18. So we can get in for 18. Does that sound right? So we're going to be like 3 short now. Well, that's unfortunate.
This is our path.
Do we have anything else interesting in terms of not dying next turn? We have a Harsh Wind, so we could survive with. Then Buried in the Ice if he gets clever. Got him to 2. The plan was good. Just didn't get far enough. And the Troll Chant won't save us next turn, so let's protect our units where we can. Can we protect any of these? This will get 6 health. Okay, let's take this dum-dum down. He's gonna have too much Overwhelm next turn. He's got this the Gnar to go along with the Udyr. Dang, so close. I just wonder if we couldn't have punched that extra damage in somewhere. But here's what's going to happen. We're going to draw Harsh Winds, we're going to shut down his open attack, and then we're going to draw Caught in the Cold and win with the Overwhelms. You heard it here first. Called the shot. Called the shot. This one's not over yet. Alright, what you got for us, game? Anivia. That's not it. Okay. I think our plan was as good as we could do, right? That's very weird being in kind of like the Udyr mirror, but he actually draws Udyr, so he gets to draw like essentially twice as many stances as we do. That was a little awkward and odd. But here, nonetheless, let's take this Brittle Steel. The Yeti Yearling is not useful in our deck. The Brittle Steel is one of the more premier combat tricks, so excellent addition. All right, on to the next battle. But yeah, that stuff, man. The stuff with Plex, it always has me wondering and curious how things can go. Just in terms of everything being digital, I don't think anyone has really gotten like massively burned at this point. Like I think you probably could have been in a world where like you purchased something on like an Xbox 360, and now that they're on Xbox 1080 or whatever it is at this point, that it may not really like work anymore or whatever. But that's always kind of an issue when you're purchasing a digital product. What happens if you have this large library of Steam games and then Steam goes under, right? If Steam goes out of business, you probably lose out on that ability to download those games. Like, I'm sure you can just like download all the games, but that's not super cost effective in terms of of what you can manage on your hard drives, especially as people like uh, see the Steam sale roll around and they're like, "Fuck yeah, let's download 700 games." And so it always makes me wonder and curious, as you Amazon tries to get you to switch over to instead of purchasing physical content to purchasing digital content. Then what happens if that country goes under, or if they get bought, or if they just say like, well, we don't feel like servicing this anymore? Like what are you gonna do? Like, are you gonna sue a company that's out of business? Like that stuff's kind of wild to me in terms of what could potentially happen. So who knows? I hope it all turns out okay, but that is always a downside to the convenience of everything being digital. Is that time when it's not. All right, let's see what we can manage here. This Durand Sculptor is something that I ultimately worry about being a little scary. We don't have, I talked about this, I think, in one of my constructed videos in terms of as we're trying to, battle 3/3s into 3/3s, what if your opponent's able to make all of their units 3/4s? And it's a little challenging for us to deal with in terms of stats. If you're, say, playing like a Demacia mirror match, you draw the Sculptor, your opponent doesn't, and then all of your 3/3s are now 3/4s, your opponent's just like so incredibly far behind due to this one unit.
That works smart.
And has a lot of potential for power. I found it to be a little bit too slow and constructed, but I thought it was pretty reasonable and good here in Expedition. This looks positive for us. If they have to like sharp sight out of this, it's good. And then just getting the win with the Brittle Steel should be good towards just pushing us right over the edge here. We can add the Hearthguard. We can add the All-Seer next turn. It gets us in a pretty good looking combat space.
I'm still learning.
All his dudes got all the stats. So many toughnesses. He's not even playing. He's not even playing Galio. He just has all the formidables. Okay. That's wild, right? He's playing Kindred, Vigio, Callista, and he just has the full package out here. But all right, let's start doing this. I'm gonna play the Stalking Wolf and try to start picking on these units that are causing problems. I'd still like to Troll Chant this turn. We may not need to, but let's at least see how his units shape up for us. So we got to finally get this Sculptor out of here. These attacks should be decent. I don't think we're going to get the Troll Chant. We'll have to or going to get a good like Ember Maiden at the end of the day. But he's still got like a ton of mana here, so we might need to actually look towards playing around it. You can play like the Bolas or whatever the thing is that gives out +2 or +3 this turn, +2 next turn, and then block big with a Petricite Hound. But I think that's kind of okay. This seems promising. Okay, I like it. So, on the Formidable, that's where we need to give our unit the +2 bonus, right? Giving negative attack to a Formidable doesn't do anything. And so, just one of the downsides to Troll Chant in the current format is facing down these Formidables. Brittle Steel does not do anything against a Formidable unit, and so gotta watch out just a little bit. Okay. Sure.
Our legacy lives on.
Got our wolf.
What's next? You'll regret when I
Is this the way it's worth? We get to take this dum dum down in the protege and then grow our unscarred reaver a little bit. What's that leave him with? I mean, we can technically make the reaver irrelevant at some point. It just hasn't done anything yet this game. We'd probably rather just keep our big unit around. Okay.
This land is ours.
This is where it gets relevant, right? We can drop the Ember Maiden. The Ember Maiden will kill off the Lancer. It will boost our Reaver. All of our units will survive. And then we should be ready for something big next turn. So weird. He has all Shadow Isles champions. I don't think he's played a Shadow Isles card this game. How does he land so heavy into that deck? It's insane. We just dropped the Anivia here. It's a pretty big AoE. Then we can get her back 2 turns from now. I don't like super like it. It's I ultimately worry about the egg getting taken down, and if we can get the egg, we should be fairly safe.
Better late than dead.
So I'm looking to say just like play the Allseer. I'm looking to boost. Where are you at? O2. Boost here. And then if he keeps passing, we're just going to pass it back and let the turn end.
I cannot
Eureka. Okay.
but I will try.
Not terrible. There was the answer to our egg. No, thank you. As one must say, no, thank you. Thank you.
Here in your time of need. Another project?
You do have to like worry about the world where she gets killed by a single combat, but okay. It says you're too much, Anivia. You're too much.
Until our paths cross once more.
All right, the trial does not end. we've been struggling to get past 3 wins these days, and so nice to see us get a little bit further. I'm not amped about adding in the Scar Grounds. We do have like a bunch of combos with it, but we risk running into drawing like too many landmarks. Like what in terms of landmarks should be happening is they aren't good come from behind cards, and so if we draw too many of the Scar Grounds, too many of that the what's it called, Howling Abyss, then it's very easy for us opponent just to overwhelm us because our cards don't do anything. Right, reasonable enough start. I've really like grown fond of these like 2-drop into 2-drop into Troll Chant style draws. You can't do that with the Trapper, but Brittle still makes an appearance to be relevant against Yasuo Swain. Okay. I give you the rabbit. Here it comes. How many epics do we have at this point? We got 1, 2, 3, because we have 2 Howling Abysses. 4 and Buried in the Ice. And then 6 with the Hearth Guards. Totally epic, dude. Totally epic. Look out.
Don't let the fluffy tail.
To me, it's wild how the term epic really got into the vernacular of the commoner as something that kind of spawned out of the World of Warcraft for it to kind of take the world by storm in terms of usage in the common vernacular is pretty wild. I don't think it was. I mean, I think where it would have like jumped the shark in terms of jumped the shark. That's not the right term, but it would have jumped into the mainstream. Would have been probably with How I Met Your Mother, right? I think that's where it really started with Barney and describing things as epic. I think I'm right with that. Only watched How I Met Your Mother one time, but I think that was
Winter's claw.
one of his catchphrases. And that show was wild. That had like a distinct dividing line between when it was good and when it was not. And that was when, spoiler alert, Marshall's dad died. That has never seen such a like dramatic shift in the quality of a show than after that one distinct moment. It's insane. But that went from a show that I thought was pretty high quality to ultimately just being sad and fairly unwatchable. But it seems like that show was on for like 8 or 9 seasons, and that it happened probably in like season 6. So it was pretty like close to the end before it happened. But it's wild. Okay, we were expecting a trick. We have a trick of our own. Let's go ahead and drop this troll chant down. See if we can't ace Yasuo. If he has a second trick, kind of is what it is. It's not the end of the world, but we would, of course, like to just win this combat. And we did. Go us. So we'll drop the Scar Grounds just to get it down. We should be able to open now, and then after the open, play the Howling Abyss. Opponent says it's too much, Bust. It's too much. You're talking about How I Met Your Mother. I can't handle it. Alright, so it's trying to get us to trade away more Udyrs. That's not what we're doing today, so we'll skip over that. I would like to pick up Ember Maiden for Stance Swap, though. This is just like, historically and traditionally, what we see with these cards is we just don't want them in our decks. We just want the cards that generate them. And this is actually kind of wild, right? Can you actually play Stance Swap and Constructed? As we look at these, like, you see how Ithid Stairs has the rare marker, Braum has, well, both the champions have the champion mastery marker, but then right? There's at the very bottom of the card, there's the blue rare marker on all of these. Like here's the commons. You can see the epics have the same thing. It's just that little gem at the bottom. But this is typically the sign of a created card, right? Where it doesn't have this gem down at the bottom. And you can't play the cards without the gems in Constructed. You can't play, say like a Riven Reforge, right? They don't have this thing down here. I wonder if this is like only playable in Expedition, since this thing isn't down here, or if this is just a mistake. See it here first. Calling out all the bugs. Literally unplayable. Literally unplayable. That I did love seeing that where with the Udyr text. I don't know if they fixed it, but they put the apostrophes and all the its on Udyr. It's just not the correct grammar. I love seeing that. I love seeing those patch notes. Like, there's always somebody on Reddit that pulls out on the patch notes. Now, granted, like recently here on the patch notes, they have been completely littered with typos, but it is kind of wild that like the champions weren't proofread to that degree before they would come out. Like I could definitely see the patch notes being something that see. If you have one, reduce it is cost to 0. That's what the apostrophe would indicate. It replaces the I, so reduce it is cost to 0. Anyways, back to the action here. We're hanging onto the Yeti. I think we want to keep both Ruthless Raiders. The Trapper is the oddball here, but we should probably hang on to him. It's just like we don't have any interactivity when we have a hand like this. We just have to win with stats, which Like I don't know. I saw Bilgewater Demacia and assumed we were just up against some kind of some kind of scout style deck. Turns out that's not the case.
Fight or die. Strength and grace.
Ew. Do we really have a choice to not attack?
The winter
Probably not.
claw.
I don't like how long we took. This is like one of those kind of read situations in poker where like your opponent oddly takes way too long, and you may not be able to read exactly what they're doing, but you know something is up. I think that's kind of clearly what's happening there. Is we just like pass. That should be like an obvious attack if we have a trick, but I guess if that trick has to be like a troll chant, you might stop and think about it or something. But should be a big shutdown with the Ancient Yeti here. Yep. And does he ever block our Ancient? Probably not. Get this advantage while we can. It's so weird seeing these things. Galio, Shyvana, and Lucian. Like, in what world do you want to be adding Bilgewater cards to this collection of champions? That's so strange to me. It's like I've got my Galio for the formidables. Let me add a bunch of 1 health units to my deck. I don't get what's going on there. All right. Now we are lining ourselves up for a pretty big Scarground play. I don't think we're going to get like a super good AoE out of this, but I mean, we can look to add Enraged Yeti, Ruthless Raider, Scargrounds this turn, then next turn just play the Spirits Unleashed. Everything gets the tough bonus and what have you. So we might have some good coming out of that. A little unfortunate with the Broadwing taking down our Trapper, but I think this is still fine.
A little reinforcement at the seams.
Oh, those all have 2 health now. Gotta slow our roll on that. I was ready to just spew that AoE, and then I saw the green. Okay.
This land is ours.
And Udyr. Where does that get us? Does this change anything? Like, we just don't actually kill anything with these units. I think we just attack with our 5/5s. We wouldn't be surprised to have this attack like potentially get blown up. It's really weird that he protected this Shyvana with back-to-back. That would kind of make me feel like he has a hand just full of combat tricks, but he does not. He does not have a handful of combat tricks. Not with him stalling like that.
I can see the whole battlefield from here.
Ew. Alright, well that's a pretty scary unit in the Yordle Ranger. We do have a block on it with our Enraged Yeti, but it's not something I want to see as he's throwing down a bunch of formidables. How does this look if we Spirits Unleashed here? I kind of like it in terms of shrinking all of our opponent's units. We do have a good block on this Yordle Ranger, should we need to. Let's see.
I see an opening.
Oh, we do not have a good block on this thing. No, our Spirits Unleashed, it does some work, but it's just not nearly as good as it had the chance to be. How much is he actually going to attack with? This is a pain in the dick. So we'll give all of our units +2 attack, and they all get tough. This is fine. The Ranger's Resolve, we weren't counting on the damage for too much. I mean, he has some formidable units, so it kind of sucks, but it's not a game breaker. I was more interested in giving our units the +2 attack and the tough.
Striking their flank.
Okay. I mean, our units all have tough. We can put our Yeti in front of this and have it not die. You're going to fight valiantly down here. At least take 3 health, I guess, at the end of the day off of the Mountain Drake. Feels a little dangerous just to take a 9 hit here. So, yeah, that looks good. Good enough, I guess.
Nothing escapes my watch.
All right, so now that everything falls off, we can like use the AoE stance to maybe do something. That's probably not ultra likely. Let's see. It would have looked a lot better if he didn't have the tough, and then we got to drop those extra bits of damage in.
Like an Elnuk in fear.
You look like an Elnick in fear. Preach it.
Been working hard, I see.
Sure.
I work smart, not hard.
So where do we find ourselves here? I mean, I think we just most certainly have to be making attacks. He doesn't have, like, great blocks on this stuff, though. I think I just want to open in here and take the trades wherever we can. Right, the only block from his, like, from my viewpoint being good for him would be the 0/6 onto the Avarosian Sentry. But he doesn't have good blocks on anything else. He has to either give up his strong units or he has to just lose his Shyvana. Okay, don't care to lose Udyr.
I smell fear. Get him, Scout!
At the end of the day, he'll have a flipped Shyvana. Okay. Sure. Just got to get that high-powered shit out of the board. Doesn't feel like great, but like compared to last turn to this turn, it feels like things have improved. Hit a troll chant. Not ideal. I was really hoping to hit another unit.
Work demands a piece of ourselves.
I'm here to help every step of the way.
Do we boost?
A mistake is the first step to improving.
Probably have to.
For the both of us.
But so he's going to attack with Shyvana. She's going to be a 7/7. If he supports her, she's going to be like a 7/9. That's all kind of gross. Kinda gross if you ask Old Bust. Something good. All right. Potential. the potential for things is there.
Durant build the best.
And we have to just block Shyvana.
This is our homeland.
Giving her the neg attack won't do anything, so let's weaken up one of the units. See what we can do. Gonna draw the sweetest of champions with this Howling Abyss. I don't know what immediately wins the game, but that's the one that we're gonna draw. Probably. How many champions are there now? Like 80? We'll do that like 1 out of 80 times. Wouldn't be surprised to see him like strafing strike his 3/3 onto our Hearthguard or something. What could we draw here? Like Darius? Darius feels like he'd be pretty close. Sejuani would probably be decent. Yeah, you know, we got some hopes and dreams up there. Roll the dice, baby. Squeeze them butt cheeks. Let's see what we get. Oh shit, he's still got like 10 mana and 2 cards in hand. Oh shit. Feel like he's about to do something lame. Do what? Does that just do literally nothing? I mean, I guess it puts the bigger crashing wave in his deck, but... Alright. Nocturne. And Anivia. So, like, if we play Nocturne... Or do we want him to have Nightfall? We probably need him to have Nightfall. Let's start with the Anivia. And then we can play Nocturne and hook the Shyvana with the Nocturne and maybe find a way to get a fearsome hit in when he can't block one of our units. Very real chance that was a game ender, right? If we're chunking in 2 AoE with Anivia, if either champion gets through, that could be lethal. All right, we got the premium abyss, right? That's I don't know what you all are thinking, but I think that's just what it's supposed to do. That's what's supposed to happen. You pay the pay to win price. You pay the fee, then you get the wins. He's up to some kind of shenanigans here, but all right, let's see what he's got. He put a spell out there and pulled it back. Like, Crashing Wave could have just been an immediate redraw or something, I guess. I mean, I'm not sure what else there is. It seems like it was some kind of interactivity. I feel like if he had an answer to Anivia, he would have just, like, bombed it down, though. Here it comes. What kind of flavors are you bringing forth? Oh, oof. Yeah, give me a PhD and pay to win. I'm telling you all. Everybody's like, oh, it's such a free-to-play game. It's so free to play. Everyone come visit Riot and see what they're doing. You only have to pay cosmetics. Yeah, that's where they get you, huh? That's where they get you. It's only cosmetics. Pay to win life, I'm telling you. All right. Let's get this Succumb to the Cold out here. Just do not want that one in our deck. Move forward. Bust, I was reading the Google and it says this is very free-to-play friendly. Nope. Hey, Bust, how do I get rank 1 on the ladder? Well, you just make your Howling Abyss premium. Did you think of that? I don't know, man. Google says it's good for free-to-play. Nah. That's just how they hook you in. That's the Riot misinformation campaign coming right at you. Free to play, my ass. All right, on to the next one. So the new question I have these days is Yumi a cat? She seems like some kind of like fairy cat. I think she might be a fae, but I couldn't tell. Like, I realized I had like 2 Von Yip avatars these days, which is very important given those are the cat ones. But I got to looking at Yumi and I thought she might actually be a cat. I couldn't decide. This was Jinx, Teemo, Fizz. This is going to be a fishbone stack. We just need to be the control deck at this point. I'm going to stop. I want to keep the Ruthless Raider back in case it can block a 1-attack unit. And just play a little bit slow here. Yep, open, you can have it. He follows up with Jagged Butcher, that kind of sucks. But we're ready to start control decking him if he'll allow us to do so. Here comes Ancient Yeti. And then if we can get to the point to where Anivia is on the board, she should be enough to kill things and win with her AoEs. Monster Harpoon. Wow. So let's protect you. We'll give the... Who do we want to kill? Like, we don't have to worry about Von Yip at this point, right? We can we just want to take his biggest unit down, right? That has to be the realistic way to do it. I guess technically at one point the astute academic could be his biggest unit, right? If he draws some cards in his turn, but most of the time it's just going to be this jagged butcher. All right, and so now that we're starting to get our board built up, we're getting to the point to where we can make trades instead of having to just hold everything back. He's not going to be able to get like super far ahead of us on board. I think I want to keep the Stalking Wolf. I don't want to take all of this damage. Let's keep our tough unit back. Well,
I'll take everything.
we're wanting to play Spirits Unleashed here soon. Kind of want to have the tough unit. So many stats though. Fine. Let's just give ourselves as much time as we can get. Sure. I was about to talk about how awkward this is going to get when we have Udyr on the board and we attack with Anivia, and then Udyr can't get a strike because he just puts his 1 health unit in front of the Udyr that's going to die anyways. It's like, oh, sorry, friend. And if he passes here, we're going to pass. He's not playing the kind of deck that wants to be banking 6 mana.
Wind and ice. Blow
Okay.
winds and crack your cheeks.
Reaver's Row it is. So that's kind of odd for him because he's going to get the units back on our turn, right? With the countdown 2, he wants the big bonus on his turn, but he's not going to get that.
We fight for one Freljord.
Fight for 1 Freljord. He had another ephemeral. It's kind of sad noises for you. Well, let's see what happens. I was curious as to what units would roll out, because I would like to just play Spirits Unleashed to AoE as dudes, so we can't block with them. It doesn't look like it's exactly going to shape up like that, but we can still get like 2 of these down in combat. Picking up Brittle Steel is kind of cool. Since it would let us shrink something else out of these. So if we Spirits Unleashed here, everything takes a damage. We attack with Anivia, that reduces 2 more of them. And then whenever he puts one of these blockers in front of our Ancient Yeti, we can Brittle Steel that guy.
For my homeland.
Who's that you got there? Say your farewells.
Do we let him just kill the Anivia? It's like a little scary. They can have a lot of burn spells here. I don't think we want to. It's like I do kind of like having the AoEs or the Brittle Steel to play defensively, but I think this is good. We do have another AoE in the stance swap, right? I do forget that Ram stance is a thing, so we might be able to kill some more stuff off if we need to. Like these 2 1 health units the dude has assembled on the board. Alright, Jinx makes an appearance.
Come on, fish bones. I don't wanna.
I don't wanna. Come on, fish bones.
Satisfied? An expert is at work.
So how much mana are we spending this turn? I think we do want to start with this stance swap. The downside to playing the stance... Well, we can do this. Let's stance swap. We'll AoE. We'll put it on the Anivia so it does 1 to everything else. Now we can still block his Veteran Investigator with Anivia and have her not die. And then Jinx, probably just going to take the damage from. I could see a block. Well, we can block with the Hearthguard fairly safely. And then he's going to have to like specifically have 2 cards to take down our Anivia and the egg. This seems good. I like it.
I've got these.
Well, I guess he could play a card. He could play both of his cards. He can't get... what's it called? Mega Death Rocket this turn. He'd have to have like a mighty... Not a mighty Poro. The Poro Maker. Poro Cannon. To get through that way. So you discard your whole hand and then add new cards to it. She flips and then you replay the Poros and get the Death Rocket. That's kind of how that sequence would have to happen.
I won't fail.
Okay. It's not the good block. You want to block down here on the Anivia. There's the Poro Cannon. You can do it that way, right? Okay, double check it's lethal. Take it to -5 here. Woof. GG. Okay, okay. Make our way to that final battle. Feels like a good place to be. Alright, so what are we doing? I'm not trading out the Brittle Steel. I'm fine enough to keep the All-Seer. It's like I ultimately worry about playing cards like Avarosian Marksman when we have so many AoEs. Like, we're just going to play it and kill it. You can be okay with it in terms of, like, what if we AoE first and then clean up with the Marksman, but I think a lot of times that's just not going to play out, and then I'm going to hang on to the Spirits Unleashed. Well, we have a ton of these things, right? We have 3 of them. Let's pick up the Ithit Stairs for the big AoE. Maybe we'll pull off the Ithit Stairs Buried in the Ice combo. Here, don't want Trundle. I can trade the Reaver for the Pledge. The Reaver is just not good. The Pledge, not great, but it's at least to do something. Here, I want to trade the Mystic for the Merkwolf Shaman. We have surprisingly gone Enlightened in quite a few of these games, but if you aren't drawing this in the late game, it's severely understated. So that feels like a win of a trade. Keep the Troll Chant. Don't want Icy Yeti. I could see trading away Ruthless Raider. We have 4, I believe, to pick up the Brittle Steel, but I know this isn't the reason to make the decision, but I can guarantee you we're going to go into this final battle and just be playing against Galio. But, I mean, in terms of our units, though, what do we have as our 2s? It's like, I really want to maintain this ability to roll into good Troll Chants, and that's with the Ruthless Raider, the Stalking Wolf, and the Tusk Speaker, and so I'm going to skip over that one. Okay, don't want the Shared Spoils. I want to hang on to our Yetis. Don't want Blighted Ravine. That's an easy skip. And the last one, Udyr again. Not doing that. We have one Ithit Stairs. It's fine. I don't want the Yeti. Okay. All right. Let's get them battles in. It's been fun. Hope you all have enjoyed it. We've been on quite the losing tear in in Expedition, so it's nice to find our way to a final battle at some point in time. See what we can do against Olvigio here. Not a bad start. Cycle into Troll Chant. That's going to look real good. Right, this is just one of the premier things you can be doing. If, say, this Tusk Speaker was a Troll Chant where you play nothing on 1, Raider on 2, Raider on 3, you have 2 mana banked up, and then play Ancient Yeti on 4, and then you get to get a 2-for-1 with Troll Chant. It's just such a gigantic board control play. I highly recommend it. It feels real good.
These old eyes still see far and clear.
Okay, let's keep this board clear.
The torches. Light the signal.
We don't have the tricks, and it's going to be tough for us to find a good combat with that unit, so...
When my song ends.
Well, we can Shared Spoils. I'm not excited about this, but we're going to be spending all of our unit mana, every turn for the foreseeable future. So let's see if we can't, at least pick up a higher quality stat set of units than we have. Big Raider lets us stall on playing the Ancient Yeti. That's pretty cool. I like stuff that's pretty cool. I don't know about you all, but
Fight or die.
I'm all about things that are cool. That's kind of lame.
The winter's claw.
We're out here trying to do cool stuff and have fun. This dude's trying to play removal spells and shit. Get that out of here. And Vigio makes an appearance. We can, like, just take him down with the Raider, but let's go ahead and give up on this mana working here soon. He's just going to pass it back to us. And now we have good attacks again.
The winter's claw.
Not bad, dude. Not bad. Okay. So the way I'm envisioning this now is we're just going to like add Anivia, and the next turn we'll try and play the Spirits Unleashed, and then we'll try and open with another Harsh Winds. The units didn't work out for this. We can switch to just playing both Trappers and then following up with a Harsh Winds. I think that's the way to go. It's like we're like really counting on these 5/5s to do something though. Don't really do anything. But I mean, this is like the best we can hope for the Spirits Unleashed, right? And then this does like transition us into having a good Harsh Winds next turn, right? He's like his Vigio is a little bit bigger than all of our dudes, so by growing everything, weakening his Vigio with the Anivia AOE coming in, we should be making a big threat to this. I think this is good. Zap 'em, motherfuckers. Am I right? Oh, man. Here it comes. Here comes the squad, little to big. Right, he has to block with Vigio here. There's no getting around that. He can put his 3/2 in front of our 4/3, sure. Vigio has to come down here and block something. He's just going to get completely boomed if he doesn't. It says neg 2. Is he going to vengeance us? He's going to vengeance us. Okay. Probably got to keep this Harsh Winds back. There's a potential for scary next turn. Well, actually, does this Vigio grow? Yeah, that mist makes him grow one too many. Is this still like worthy of an AoE? We don't lose any of our units. We kill off the Arachnoid Horror, take his Vigio to 1 health. I'm not as excited about how much that ramps up his units. Let's do this. Let's play this dumb card. I do worry a bit about Vigio flipping and our Anivia just getting aced, but we'll have to save that for another turn. Who do we want to put? Oh, I want to boost the Raider, so it can be like a reasonable unit and interactive. I'll just give it the +2/+2. I was thinking of giving it like 0/2 and regenerate, but I don't think we're gonna need that. And now going into next turn. All right, let's just stop it here. I'm gonna say we can look to maybe just like play Trapper or something, but that seems kind of meh. About this point, if we so when does this do? He steals the strongest enemy this round. If it's a champion, kill it instead. And so if we play It That Stares and AoE is bored, it's going to flip his Vigio. Then next turn, he's going to take our It That Stares. I think this is all fine. I know, like, we're going to play this Yeti with the knowledge it's about to get AoE'd, but I want to see if he'll add another relevant unit to the board that we can hit with the Ithid Stairs. And then, like, I guess at like the end of the day, we could just blow up landmarks, right? And just have the giant unit on board. And that would, for all intents and purposes, keep his Vigio from flipping. And then we can just try and win next turn with our 2 Overwhelms. Atrocity costs like 7 now, right? Okay, we'll just take this. Landmarks. And ideally, he doesn't have the answer to both Overwhelms. Is that just him giving up? Oh, his Vigio flipped. Okay. I think it's still okay.
This is our time.
Right, he gets the Ithid Stairs. Did we mess this up? We just got to get in for 1. That gets in for 1. Takes 2 on the AoE. Oh, the Anivia just kills, right? Anivia, turns out she does some damage. I was sitting here like trying to calculate the mathematics we were doing and seeing if we could win. Anivia just gets the job done. So, all right, cool. Nice little 7 winner. Don't have the recap thing to pull up anymore, but I'll at least get to the final screen here before I start talking about this. I can get the deck list pulled up, I do believe. Maybe. Maybe not. But at the end of the day, there's a handful of things to talk about out of this one, right? The Udyr, in terms of like real build around possibilities, do I think that there's any there? Not so much. It's just too expensive. And I think everything about him is too expensive. And I do believe probably what we saw with him is Aphelios was just like too powerful with all of the moon weapons costing 2. And they had to do a lot of tuning to Aphelios, and they eventually just made the moon weapons cost 3, and that kind of nerfed him into oblivion. And I think probably and realistically, as we see cards like the moon weapon generating card, and then comparing that to the units that generate the Udyr stances, just having the stances cost 2 mana was probably too much of a burden. And so I have a feeling that with Udyr, he'll either just never be updated for the remainder of his life, and he'll just kind of live this space of mediocrity, or they might try to tune him up a little bit, but that would probably just be like making him a 5/5 instead of a 4/4 or something. And I don't suspect we're going to see too much out of Udyr. And excuse me, I think a lot of the problem and challenge with Udyr kind of like comes in his design as to where you have to be careful with people like playing spells matter kind of things. Then you have to be careful with strikes. You have to be careful with what happens if we make another stance generator, and now we generate all these stances and they're too cheap. Like there's just like a ton of factors that have to like tie in to making Udyr not absurd in some kind of deck. And I think that it's probably just like safer to never make him strong, right? It's just like in Magic, there's the card Stoneforge Mystic, right? Where you play it, you get to tutor up an equipment, you put the equipment in your hand, and then I think it lets you play the equipment on the cheap, right? You can put it into play for 2 mana, and that was letting you get around like all kinds of things and all kinds of problems to where basically Wizard's stance on the card Stoneforge Mystic was we have to ban it because it fucks up every equipment that we're going to make for the remainder of time, right? If we want to do something with this equipment, now we have to say, oh, what happens in Modern because Stoneforge Mystic exists, or what happens in Legacy because Stoneforge Mystic exists, and it just annihilated the design space for equipment for the entirety of the future. And then that's what I kind of see with something like Udyr, is to where, okay, he generates all these spells, so that's one thing we have to worry about if we're doing stuff with created cards, if we're doing stuff with playing a bunch of spells, we have to worry about this now. And then he has the strike mechanic attached to him, and so you have to worry about, well, what if we have a way for him to strike too much, or what if he ends up in these decks with all the single combats, or what if we have him with like double strike, and so that's like another place you have to worry about. And I ultimately just think that he's gonna be mediocrity forever, right? He might find some kind of space to where he's like really cool in Path of Champions, and then he might find some kind of space to where he has like a real Timmy Power Gamer kind of stance to him, to where you can assemble some kind of really neat engine and win a game like 10% of the time. But competitive viability, I don't think he'll ever realistically be there. And so where that kind of brings me with Udyr and Expedition is I do think he's still a pretty reasonable support champion, right? In this deck, I don't really want Udyr or Anivia. I would prefer to have Sejuani's. If we can't have Sejuani's, I would just want something cheap like Ash. But he does have some uses here. We're able to give, a Yeti Overwhelm. We can, generate the strike and trade and get some additional value. Like, he's not terrible. He's just not like a build-around champion. I'm never going to look at Udyr these days and be like, okay, let's build around this like we can Galio. And so I think that's kind of his state and his space right now is, he's fine. You're not going to be excited about it. You're not going to stack him. But he would fit into that kind of more Maokai, hey, support with me space, as opposed to the ever actual full and build around space. I just can't imagine you wanting him with like a Battle Scars deck or these AoE style decks. It all seems kind of meh. But I don't know. It's not exactly an initial impression, but that's kind of what it feels like with him. And then I think kind of the other interesting thing out of this draft was, as like time went on, when the lead Expedition dev was still at Riot, I asked the question, it seems like whenever these appearance bonuses are attached to an archetype, they just show up throughout the entirety of the draft much more, as opposed to just on the champion picks, right? They were only supposed to apply to the champion picks to get the champions to show up more, but the supporting cast throughout the remainder of the draft couldn't have been affected. And he said, no, that's not how it works. I didn't have any reason to believe that he was wrong, other than anecdotally, it seems like very strange. It seems like a lot of those archetypes were showing up in the wild picks with a much higher frequency than you would expect. So you would get your synergy pick with this set, and then in the wild picks it would show up, and then you were just essentially seeing throughout the entirety of the draft that same bucket over and over and over again. And that's what kind of has me curious with this one. I don't know if it's just a function of, hey, the new cards are out here, let's draft the new cards. But we played against that one archetype that was literally all Shadow Isles champions, but they were just playing the Formidable deck. And then we played against somebody else playing a 3-faction deck, and they literally just played all of the Formidable cards, right? And that was like extremely, extremely suspect. And I could see a world to where, it's like, oh, these are new cards, I'm just going to pick everything that says Formidable on it and see where it happens. But like with the way the buckets work and the archetypes work, and like them not being in the Galio archetypes, like that was very strange. The quantity of formidable based cards that we saw coming out of those like really weird champion selections. And so I'm curious if, there was a point in time when the appearance bonus didn't affect the picks and now it does, or if this is just a matter of one of the biases, recency bias or confirmation bias or whatever that would happen to be, to where we've seen it a few times here and we're applying broad strokes to it when it's not actually the case. But that might be something that you have to kind of watch out for in the future in your drafts, is lots of the formidable stuff turning up, lots of toughness boosting to Demacia and the like. And so we'll see. We got about 20 of these things to go, and so maybe we'll come to a more concrete conclusion before our expedition is done. But for this one, we are done here. Let's click on these rewards, see what we got ourselves real quick, and we'll call it a day. See, in those epics, if you got the Amazon Prime, head over to Twitch. You get the free stuff for doing that. I think it was it used to be epic capsules, but now I think it's something along the lines of a prismatic chest or something. I don't remember, but it's there. You might as well claim it if you can. Oh, that's a pretty cool chip. I mean, you're not a cat, so we'll never use it, but pretty cool. And nice. This is the kind of rewards I like to see. It's like I already crafted all the constructed relevant ones, and so now the constructed irrelevant ones come in. Pretty cool. All right, going prismatics. We just picked the unit. Man, this is kind of like sad to me in terms of seeing these prismatic cards that we'll probably just like never play with. That was always kind of nice in Expedition, where it would be like, man, I wonder how many people out here are really crafting ethereal remitters and Chronicler of Ruins and cards like that, and we get the chance to play with them epic. Like as we just move into constructed, these are cards that we're just like literally never going to see. That's kind of a bummer, but it is what it is, I guess. So those were some of the rewards. What else do we got here? Get me up in this golden chest. All right. Getting some of these Bandle cities. Maybe we won't have to spend the wild cards on these future expeditions. Epic card. Mini T. That's how I feel about him. He doesn't have Overwhelm. All the wild cards, everyone's favorite reward, and the prismatics, my favorite reward. Get us a good common here. What do we got? Safety Inspector or Bandle Gunners? Let's go with the Gunners. I'm not convinced on Fey Aid doing anything these days. We'll save that for something in the future. All right, what else do we got? That's the store. Something on the home screen. Some kind of loot box. What's that? See, there's Yumi. Yumi's a cat, right? We could probably switch to using the Yumi icon if we want. Let me analyze this real quick. I'm sure some nerd will be like, let me push up my glasses and go, nah, she's a Fey Beast cat, not an actual cat, but that's definitely looking like a cat to me. Or is she like a mouse? There's like all these little mouses hanging around. Huh. Maybe this will clear it up. Definitely looks more cat than mouse. I don't know. Somebody will have to tell me. But nonetheless, that is going to do it for us today. Hope everyone enjoyed the trial. You learned how to make your Udyrs just a little bit more epic. You maybe learned a thing or two along the way. Had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.